I was able to experience something very beautiful, but when it was translated onto the screen, onto the big screen, it became very constrained. So, yes, I'm talking about the Supergirl movie. And when I say beautiful, I'm talking about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the comic, which I was able to read alongside the viewing in the big screen. So, I read the first 5 issues before going to the theaters to watch the movie. And when I came back, I read the ending, like the last 3 issues. And they definitely adapted the story, but they didn't adapt the storytelling. They didn't adapt the visualness and the vividness that the comic gave us. And I understand that they wanted to fit this particular movie into the larger narrative of the DC universe. They wanted to fit it with the timeline of Superman and other movies that are going to happen and are currently in production at DC Studios. I understand that. But when the comic is so beautiful visually and the storytelling is on like another level, this comic is a piece of literature, and I feel absolutely amazing after completing this particular comic. Because if you have not read this, you should definitely read this. This is definitely one of the best comics out there. This is the best representation of what comics are and can be. So definitely go and check this comic out. But then coming back to the movie, this takes everything out of it. All it leaves in here is the story. This takes Supergirl's character out of it as well. Now, I understand this is not the thing people would like to hear when watching a Supergirl, let's say, introduction film, but this is sadly it. The Supergirl's character doesn't feel like Supergirl's character until she's battling. Until in like the last battle, there are some iconic scenes of these slow mo camera works, and she's moving like Supergirl. But when the story is happening, when things and events are happening, it feels like just a character. And for a point, I understand. Even she is just as human, or she's able to, feel these things and go through sorrows and whatever. I understand it. That's fine. But in the comics, even when she's going through stuff, it still makes super sense for that character to do it, because we get to understand why that is happening through storytelling. And in the movie, the story is very much streamlined. It's like Crypto's been shot by Krem, and now they have to get the antidote, defeat Krem, because Krem also killed Rudy's family members. And that's the entire plot, and done. That's the only thing. So they are just going straight towards the end point, and that's the entire film. There is no exploration of the characters. They just tell you this is what these characters do, and that kind of bugs me because the comic is so beautiful. And again, like when I emphasize it's so beautiful, it is entirely beautiful. Like every stroke, every shading or every color tells you something, and it is so beautiful. Just check the comic out. But the comic puts you in this world, and it makes you live through Rudy's eyes about what she sees Supergirl do and what she has heard Supergirl has done. And that part of storytelling, if that could have been translated to the movie format, it could have been exceptional. Because the comic is like a narration comic. Most of the time, they're not conversing, or they're not kind of talking with each other or other characters. Most of it is just narration through Rudy's eyes or what she has written in the book. And it is so beautiful. Like, I would personally nominate this book to be literally up there with some literature that people can gain access towards, because this is a good book. Not just the visuals and the storytelling, but the way it is written, amazing. Like, damn, people should definitely read this. And the thing is, everything falls flat on the screen. Now I understand I'm comparing it too much with like the comic and what is going on in there. I understand that, but the thing is, it is the same story. Now, what approach they took towards it, I understand. It's still kind of developing towards the bigger DC universe. I understand that is why they kind of put Lobo in here, because they wanted to showcase there are more familiar characters in here that we can interact this early on in the DC universe. And in the comics, of course, Lobo is not there, but they had to kind of put him in. So I guess to get some eyeballs, because when I went to the theaters, there weren't many people. There were like hardly 7, 8, around 10 to 12 people in the theaters. And at the same time, when I went for Superman, like more than half of the theater was full at that time. So Personally, I don't think this movie will get that much audience. uh, but still, if you have not read the comic and you want to experience this, because I think in that way you would be able to enjoy this movie more. But just because I read this thing side by side, my viewing of this particular film, it felt quite mundane. Like the film felt quite flat in that sense. And it's like all the color has been just sucked out of the movie. Like everything is dark and gray. And okay, so I can understand that sometimes it wants to portray that these characters are still sad and these characters are still, not in the right mind. But still, it just feels too dark. Whereas the first film, which is Superman, it felt quite bright, it felt quite nice. And in fact, Superman was one of the best moments in a Supergirl film. Now, I know the entire point of Supergirl is to not being overshadowed by his, brother, but that is what happens in here. Superman was literally the best thing that could have happened in this movie. And again, David Corenswet as Superman is amazing. Like, as he walks in, as he's in the scene, that is Superman, you can just tell it. But sadly, that was not the experience with Millie's Supergirl, especially in this movie. If other directors or if other creatives are able to handle that character perfectly fine and get that supergirlness out of her, that'd be great. I'm ready to see that. However, it didn't feel like the performance didn't feel like it was out there. It felt quite suppressed, even in its character. Again, like the story was too blotted. Even if it is streamlined, it is still just patches that are there, and it doesn't connect in a storytelling way quite nice. It just feels that something has been put on and you're just made to watch it. And that is kind of the feeling that this movie gives, sadly. And the reason I'm saying sadly is because the comic has so much potential. You just read it once. In fact, it would have been better if this would have been like a 2-season TV series, because in that way you could have explored that Kryptonness of the Argo City and what you wanted to do with her childhood. Maybe explore that more. Maybe show us what Krypton was like or what Argo City was like in like flashbacks through multiple episodes. And then traverse through like the universe a bit more. That was done in the comics. You can explore these different races, these different places, and it'll be so beautiful. Because, I mean, again, I come back to the same point, read the comic because it is beautiful, it's amazing. And in the same way, they also butchered Krem's character, because we get this perfect characterness of Krem in the comics. In this, it is just, oh, he's a villain, he's the bad guy, let's kill him. But in the comics, in the end, we get to know even his, what do you say, his experience of things, what he lives by. His character is enlarged in just a few panels, and that is the beauty of writing. And that is what you get when you fully immerse yourself in these characters, in these worlds. And sadly, this was not it. This was just like, I don't know, some random space thriller or space action movie that just had the DC label on it. It didn't feel like a Supergirl movie either. Even with Lobo in here, I mean, sure, I was excited to see Lobo, and I was excited, sure. After Superman, like, Lobo was the main part in here where that got me going in this movie. But still, it just felt like a space movie. It didn't feel like a Supergirl movie. And that is what I kind of hoped would happen. Because the Superman movie was a Superman movie. And this movie was just a movie with Supergirl in it. It wasn't a Supergirl film. Which I understand, because even the original story, it's not just about Supergirl, it's about Rudy as well. What Rudy is going through. Her constant effort to find Krem of the Yellow Hills. But even Rudy's character falls flat. And if you were to like literally see the comic and see the movie, the differences are vast. Not just visually, but even in character instances, like the way character approaches towards things. Because I understand many a times when you're reading, you are filling those instances with your head, like what you feel that character should do. But when it is acted out, it is what the actor seems or what the director wants in that particular instance to happen. So I understand that translation might kind of be very different from what you are reading to what you are seeing. I totally get that. But still, this just wasn't a good film. It was an okay film. If you are still interested in it, you can definitely watch it. In fact, I would urge you to go and watch it, because if you want to just get introduced to Supergirl, person who has not kind of interacted with this character much before, this is definitely an introduction to such people, which will be most people, I guess, and they should definitely give it a watch. But it could have definitely been better. It could have been way, 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 way better. But this is the final movie that we got, and it is here. We can see it. Movie felt like it played safe. It played too much safe, whereas the Superman movie was just full of instances which were like, it's good they are doing this. This feels more comic. This feels vibrant. This feels something straight out these pages of the comics. And with that, it's a good movie. And so yeah, those are my thoughts on the Supergirl movie. That's it. Sub to the channel, and I'll see you in the next.